Welcome back, friends. Today we will make a simple yet elegant calculator using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can use this for your school project or just for practice. It was long due. So here's the complete step-by-step guide. Enjoy coding. I'm using basic HTML boilerplate for this project. In this project I'm keeping everything in single file for simplicity, but you should keep them separate. So start with giving some styles to the body. I'll give it a dark background and align everything in center. Also give the body full screen height and define some fonts. Once done, let's focus on actual HTML elements, that is, the calculator section. I'll make a div element inside the page body. This will be our calculator. Give it a class named calculator. Inside this element, let's put another div with class and ID screen. This will become the display of our calculator. Here you can also use input instead of divs, but as we need not to write anything manually, so a div works fine. Let's make another div below the screen and give it a class buttons. This section will contain the buttons for our calculator. We will need quite a few buttons here. Some are numbers that show 0 through 9, and others are operators and result buttons. I've already pre-planned the styles. That's why I'm giving certain class names to these buttons. It's easy to understand as I use clear class for clear buttons with a shade of red. Soon you'll see the CSS part. Just wait a few moments. Another classes that I used are double, that makes the button took 2 grid space, and operator that will separate the operator buttons from number with a distinct background color. Just follow me to see the whole layout. I am only copy-pasting the buttons multiple times just to save time. If you find anything confusing, just put a comment below and I'll reply with answers. It should not be that hard to follow along. Once done, simply replace the number accordingly and put some class for distinction. That's it, we are now ready to style our calculator. I'll start with styling the calculator class. It's the main body of our calculator, so let's make it elegant. A white background should look good on top of the dark web page. Let's give it a thin 1 pixel semi-dark black border with 8 pixel radius. Also give some shadow and hide the overflow for consistency. Here a fixed width of 300 pixels is important to notice as it controls the size of our calculator. Once the styling for calculator class is done, it's time to style the display screen of our calculator. It has a class named Screen. I'll start with Flex Display within Justified Content, and at last align the item in center. I'll also give it a slightly bigger font size, maybe 1.8 rem. Some height would be nice. I think 80 pixels should be enough here. Also give it some padding, and a matching light background. In the end, align the text to right. This will give our calculator an authentic look, although you can skip it if you like. After the screen class, it's time to tackle the main buttons element. It is the main section for our calculator buttons. I think a grid style best fits our need. And for that we have to give the buttons class a grid display style with a standard grid column template. Make it repeat 4 cells, each occupying 1 fraction space. With this done, our calculator now looks much better, like an actual calculator. After this, we have to style the actual buttons. I'll start by removing any border or outline from the button element. Just put none to border and outline styles, that's it. Next, give it a pointer cursor and font size of 1.2 rem. Also put some padding, maybe 20 pixels. Okay, now it looks better. In the end, put a transition style that will handle the smooth shift of background color when we hover over them. Next, I will style the operator class. It will style the mathematical operator buttons. I want to keep them distinct with unique color, so I have chosen a shade of orange for these buttons. Now make the font bold with 600 weight and give it a pure white color. Look the beautiful change in the preview screen. After the operator class, it is time to handle the other classes we have coded in HTML section. If you remember, I have placed 3 different class, namely operator, double, and clear in our buttons. So let's style the double class. It is the simplest one. I just want these buttons to take double space and grid column. Therefore, give them a span of 2 and they are ready. Next, give a background color of red to the clear class buttons. No, maybe not exact red. It would be too bright and difficult for eyes. I have chosen a lighter shade of red. It should look better. Okay, there is something wrong here. It doesn't look right. I think I missed 2 buttons. The 0 and dot buttons are missing. Let's fix it first. I'll put the double class in 0 button to fit with the surrounding grid. I think it looks good now. The only thing left to style is the hover effect. It's important to give a distinct style for the hover effect of our buttons. Let's swap the background color and text color on button hover. It will look smooth with the modern layout. You can try tweaking it for custom styling. For me, it's fine now. The HTML and CSS part is complete now. It is time to handle the functioning of our calculator. This will be done by the JavaScript code. So let's start. Remember, we have placed an ID named Screen to the display screen in HTML section. Now I will access the div element's inner text with its ID. I'm using the query selector method. You can also use getElement by ID method here. Next, define another variable named buttons to access the button element. I'm using query selector all method. It will return an array. Run a for each loop on this button. This loop yields a new array taking an anonymous function with predefined parameters. This function takes each element and provides it to the function body. I'll use each item button and simply add a click event listener to them. The add event listener method requires a function as a second parameter. So let's return another anonymous function that gets e as an event parameter. We will work on this event parameter. You can expand it, but I think it's easy to understand, so let's proceed. The event parameter has a target value that contains a series of information about the element that initiates the click event. It also contains an inner text value that is the main value of each button. I will store this value in a new variable called val. After that, I will start the actual function code with the if-else conditional check. I'll start with comparing the val variable with equals value. If it matches, then I will use a JavaScript inbuilt function eval to evaluate the mathematical expressions in the input value. It is the easy way for me, as I'm now coding for years, but I would suggest you all to start with coding each functions, like addition, subtraction, multiplication separately. First, learn to do the basics, then jump on using inbuilt function. It is important to build solid coding fundamentals. After this, put another else if case to check the value for AC button that must empty the display screen. Then we have to check POW operator. It should translate to 2 stars, as JavaScript will consider these 2 stars as expression equivalent to mathematical power. There are many ways to handle these conditionals, so if you come up with more efficient way, then do let me know. For the DL button check condition, I'll simply return a substring of input text value starting from first character until the second last one. This will remove one character at a time from the end of expression. First, keep the starting value safe in a temp variable, then use another inbuilt JavaScript function, substring, to do the hard work. This function requires 2 parameters. First, the starting index, and second is the end position that will be excluded. Here, I have used the length parameter of string operations and subtract 1 from it to find the index of last character, and it will be skipped in the substring. In AC button check, I return a blank string to empty the display screen. It is quite easy to understand, so let's proceed. Finally, just add the rest of the button values on click to the existing expression in display screen. It will simply skip the AC, DL, and equal values, which is not necessary for the actual math expression. I think the code is still not working properly. Do you know why? It is time to do some debugging. Debugging JavaScript code without any visible error is quite hard sometimes. Give it a thorough look and try to see if something is missing in the code. This is the situation where I always suggest keeping your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript separate. It is for cleanliness and simplicity. And more importantly, it is for ease of debugging. Still searching? Look! The event listener name is misspelled in my code. It is missing a simple letter K in the end, and this is the root of the issue here. Let's fix it and try again. It is looking good. Our calculator is now fully functioning. Well done, you have made it on your own. If you like my videos, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching TechnoSpace.